What's good? It's Extreme Caution. Today, I'm going to go over the Women's Royal Rumble match. I'm going to be going over who are the women that I think should be the top candidates of winning the Women's Royal Rumble. If you like wrestling content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. But I'm going to go and jump straight into the video. As I go on with each woman, I am going to mention my least favorite and my most favorite. So I'm starting off with my least favorite, and as the video continues, I'm going to go through my most favorite. My favorite of who I would want to win the Women's Royal Rumble. The first woman I'm going to mention is Tiffany Stratton. I think people are sleeping on this pick of the Women's Royal Rumble. A lot of people are just assuming that Liv and Bianca are like the clear favorites, but Tiffany Stratton is a sneaky dark horse in my opinion, because she has a made story with Jade or Stephanie Vaquer if you want to go out of the way, but I think Jade will be the one she chooses due to Jade cheating her, injuring her, putting her on the show, and eventually taking her title. So I think she has a ready-made story as well. Plus, the pop that Tiffany Stratton is going to get at the Rumble is going to be insane. She hasn't been on TV in months. She was already one of the more over baby faces. People are going to be, I think a lot of people think Liv is going to be the favorite, but when Tiffany Stratton comes out, she's going to be extremely over when she comes out due to her being missed, due to her not being on the show in months. So even though she is my least favorite, I love Tiffany Stratton. I do. I think she gets way too much criticism, if I'm being honest. But she does have a decent enough story with her and Jade. Now, I don't know if people want to see that due to her and Jade having so many matches and then being a bit repetitive, but it's an easy story that they already told that they could continue to tell. So I think a lot of people are sleeping on this pick. I think people are just assuming that Liv and Bianca are going to win. It wouldn't shock me if they went Tiffany Stratton, especially due to her being young. They could continue to build her as the future of the women's division. So it really wouldn't shock me if she won this match, if I'm being honest. I think a lot of people are sleeping on her. Do I want her to win? No, mainly because I think they would do the feud with Jade. But I don't think it's a terrible option. It's just really how they will book it, if I'm being honest. Because Jade and her can put on a good match. They put on good matches before. And they can put on a good enough story. It's just if they book it correctly, if I'm being honest. But I think a lot of people are sleeping on this pick of Tiffany Stratton, if I'm being honest. The next woman I'm going to mention is Io Sky. Now, Io Sky is actually a person that I actually think can possibly win the Royal Rumble. I get that her and Rhea Ripley are tag team champions, but I think that they could easily flip the switch if they really wanted to. They've done this before. Not with tag team champions, but they've done this before with Io Sky, where she randomly beat Rhea Ripley last year for the World Championship on a random episode of Raw, and then eventually they end up doing the triple threat. So I think Io Sky is another dark horse. She's actually currently my pick to win the Royal Rumble. I know that's a shocker. Yes, I know a lot of people are going Bianca, a lot of people are going Liv Morgan, but I think Io Sky is a dark horse to win the Royal Rumble, mainly because I think the story they would tell with Rhea Ripley. I think her being a dark horse is really due to Rhea Ripley, because I don't think they're going to pull the trigger on like Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer feud or storyline, even though they already had matches. And I think that they never had a clear definitive winner either, if I'm being, oh wait, they did have a clear definitive winner. I think it was at Saturday when they determined who was going to win the World Championship. This could be another match for the World Championship, a banger match. But also, I think if they were to do this, they would run the match between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, in my opinion. That's what I think they would do. If they were to put Io Sky in a position to win the Rumble, I think they would have Stephanie Vaquer eventually drop it to potentially Rhea Ripley, or make it a triple threat between her, Rhea Ripley, and Stephanie Vaquer, in my opinion. But I'm not the most confident in this pick because I do think things can change eventually. But overall, I do think that she could potentially be a dark horse. It could be a sneaky pick. It's Io Sky. You have to consider her at the very least. Moving on to the next woman, which is Rhea Ripley. Now, I made a mistake. I said Io Sky was my pick to win the Royal Rumble. That's my mistake. It's actually Rhea Ripley, now that I thought about it. It's Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley is my official pick. The main reason why I think Rhea Ripley will win the Royal Rumble is because, again, I mentioned it with the Io Sky section of the video that I said that they have done it before, where they had a women's world champion lose before the Rumble, and then eventually they had her going as champion. I think they're going to pull the trigger on Io Sky winning, beating Stephanie Vaquer on an episode of Raw or at the Elimination Chamber, if they do that. And then Rhea Ripley will win the Rumble, challenge Io Sky to officially get that victory over her, beating her for the World Heavyweight Championship. Because I think they're having a match at Mania. I think Io Sky and Rhea Ripley has to be the Mania match, whether it's for a title or without a title. But I think they're going to do it for a title. Or you can make it a triple threat. Either way, it don't matter. But I think she wants that victory over Io Sky. But I don't think it's going to be a heel turn. No, I don't think it's going to be a heel turn. I think it's going to be a competitive, normal match. Potentially can make some teases throughout the build of the match if they make it just a one-on-one match. But Rhea Ripley is my pick. I'm not confident in that pick at all. I'm really not. I'm just really going based off what I think they will, because Typically, WWE likes to do dream matches or the biggest match at Mania. They've done this for the past few years. Becky Lynch and Rhea, Bianca Belair, Rhea, Io Sky. I just have a hard time believing that they're going to not, if they're going to have Stephanie McMahon be the champion, I just have a hard time it not being Io Sky or Rhea Ripley, if I'm being honest. So I think Rhea Ripley has to be a strong candidate to win the Women's Royal Rumble, and she is currently my pick. But due to either Io Sky being champion or they're making it a triple threat with Io Sky being champion and do just involve Stephanie McMahon, in my personal opinion. But it could go either way if I'm being honest. But I think she is an interesting choice for the Women's Royal Rumble. Now we're going to move on to Liv Morgan. Now, Liv Morgan is one of my favorites to win the Royal Rumble. I like the story they could potentially tell, mainly with the Judgment Day. Now, I'm not as confident as everyone else is with her winning the Royal Rumble. I get that she's been, constantly the last one to get eliminated from the Royal Rumble for multiple years. I get that. My only issue is that I just don't see a world where they do Liv Morgan and Stephanie McMahon for the world title at Mania. That match just doesn't scream WrestleMania to me. If they're going to put Liv Morgan in a championship match, it would have to be against a Judgment Day member, in my opinion. I just like Liv Morgan and Raquel screams more WrestleMania than Stephanie and Liv. The match quality will be great. The story, however, just doesn't make sense to me personally. That's why I'm having a hard time believing Liv Morgan is actually going to win. But I could be wrong, because even someone like Jey Uso, who people didn't see winning, he had a story with Gunther going into Mania, so it made sense logically, even if people didn't like it. Where Liv Morgan, her story isn't really that clear with Stephanie. Yes, Raquel is feuding with her, I get that. So unless they make it like a triple threat, I don't really see the appeal of Liv Morgan winning, if I'm being honest. Now, you could have Raquel turn heel, if I'm being honest, but in my opinion, I think it's more interesting that Liv Morgan stays heel and betray Raquel. I think that's a more interesting story, if I'm being honest, than the other way around. But I could see them potentially having Liv Morgan eliminate Raquel, become the winner, and then eventually Raquel finds a way to be in the match, make it a triple threat. I do understand why people think she's the favorite. I do completely understand, but I do think a lot of people are a bit biased with this, if I'm being honest. But I'm not mad if Liv Morgan does become the winner, but I do think people are overrating her chances of winning. I think she's a favorite. I think she's one of the favorites, but people acting like she's just guaranteed to win is a bit of a stretch, if I'm being honest. Now, the next woman I have may surprise you, but I think Raquel has a good shot of winning. Now, I don't believe this at all. I don't. I would actually like her to win more than Liv Morgan, if I'm being honest, because I think the story would be more interesting if Raquel win. Raquel can easily win the Rumble, choose Stephanie McMahon, of course. Liv Morgan gets jealous of Raquel, betrays her, or potentially wins the Elimination Chamber, and you make that a triple threat. I think it's more interesting if you keep Liv Morgan in heel. Now, it is a bit weird because Raquel is better as a heel, but also so is Liv Morgan. So it's a very tricky situation, because if they ever was to pull the trigger on this feud, I think Liv Morgan would be the heel due to her being more over. So it's a bit confusing and it's a bit iffy, because like Raquel needs to win this feud if they were to do this, where if they were to make her feud with Liv Morgan, she needs it the most. But I think Liv Morgan will win the feud due to her being the overall favorite and due to her being more popular. So it's a very iffy situation, but I think it would just make a compelling story, give it to someone new, something. Plus, Raquel needs it more, in my opinion, due to her being more of a rising star, but Liv Morgan is kind of already there, if I'm being honest. People already look at her as a main event talent, where Raquel still needs the extra push. Plus, you could still put Liv Morgan in the match without her winning the Rumble, if I'm being honest, due to her playing a heel role in this scenario. I think Raquel would still keep her edge as a babyface, but she would just hate Liv Morgan and focus her target mainly on Liv Morgan. Plus, you could add potentially the whole Judgment Day, if I'm being honest, into the story, add Roxanne as well. But I think Raquel is a sneaky pick due to her already feuding with the world champion in Stephanie McMahon, and you can still tell the story of the Judgment Day, if I'm being honest. This actually interests me more than Liv Morgan winning, but I do understand that people think I'm tripping with this pick, because I do think it's a long shot. I think it's a long shot, but I do think she needs some consideration. Now, moving on to the last woman on my list, which is who I think is the favorite to win, who I think will win the Royal Rumble. It's Bianca Belair. If Bianca Belair returns, she's winning. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm sorry, Liv Morgan fans. If Bianca returns, she's winning. I'm just going to be honest with you. She has the story already made for her with Bianca and Jade. She already has a story there. This is a feud. This is a rivalry that we've been wanting to see for a very long time. Since Jade Cargill made her debut in WWE, we've been wanting this match for a while. Couldn't get it due to her injury. Now, I don't know if Bianca is going to make it. I don't. But if Bianca is in the match, she's winning. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. She's definitely winning. So I don't know if Bianca is going to, well, Yeah, if Bianca's in the match, she's winning. But if Bianca's not in the match, I'm still going with Rhea Ripley. But Bianca is the favorite if she's in the match. You have the perfect main story with her and Jade Cargill, especially with Bianca being a babyface, Jade being the heel, which is a perfect dynamic because if they were going to run the feud, it makes sense for Jade to be the heel in this scenario, Bianca be the babyface in this scenario as well. I'm very interested to see how the Women's Royal Rumble turn out. You guys let me know your overall thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Let me know who you guys think is going to win the Women's Royal Rumble. Let me know who you think should win the Women's Royal Rumble. But let me know your overall thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. But yeah, that's it.